Hi, I'm Gautam Rishi, and I'm the Senior Manager in the Life Sciences Division at AnteoTech.
And I'm Tech Ling, the Scientific Lead on the Life Sciences Division.
So today we'll be talking a bit about the NXT product that we launched last year and our experiences with different regions that we've been visiting. I'd like to start with the Korea visit that happened late in 2024 and how the customers and our clients responded to this new product.
We worked really well with our distributor in Korea, Koma Biotech, and they were able to organize individual visits to, I think it was 3 or 4 different companies, as well as being able to hold a workshop where we had 10 attendees. As part of the workshop, we were able to bring the NXT kits with us, work on a 300 nanometer latex particle, and from there actually go through the entire activation conjugation process for a flu A antibody. Having brought the strips with us, we were also able to get the customers to test out their own conjugates that they had prepared on site. And after that 4 to 5 hour session, everyone left super excited about being able to conjugate their particles in such a short period of time, as well as being able to observe quite a significant sensitivity for the flu A analyte.
They were happy with the turnaround time. So is this a big difference with the conventional chemistries or what people use for bioconjugation in these kind of assays?
Sure. So out of the 10 people that actually attended, I believe 7 of them actually had previous experience working with other nanoparticles, so something like gold or other latex particles. Now we talk about NXT being mainly an equivalent activation or conjugation technology to EDC NHS, and this was actually where we found the most positive feedback, because most of the people who had tried the EDC NHS technology before had cited difficulties in storage, the time required to actually activate the components themselves. They had quite a short window of opportunity to actually conjugate their antibodies before seeing degradation in signal. They were completely blown away with how simple it was to activate with AnteoBind and being able to store the particles essentially for that year until they needed to do further work.
Yeah, I think I've had the similar feedback from my trip in India, where when you introduce the concept and the product itself, people are just amazed with the flexibility and the ability to be able to store the particles or the surfaces for 1 year, which I don't think any other chemistry other than the Tosyl or epoxy offers to the customer. So that's been a very big advantage that we've been able to introduce, and people are excited about that. So with that, in terms of the performance, how does NXT compare with the conventional chemistries, or have we been able to show that to the customers, or what was the response in that area?
Sure. So we have had one customer that dived straight into using the kit and was able to do side-by-side comparisons against their current EDC NHS method. And from there, we actually got quite positive results. We did see similar or better performance depending on the analyte that was used. The other evaluators are still using the technology, and we're waiting on further results.
So with some of these projects, you've also been involved in the optimization for clients in India, some of the clients in India, and you're also visiting India. What's your experience using AnteoBind, and how would you compare using EDC in that same setup?
Sure. So one of the biggest differences is when you actually go to a process which requires volume manufacturing or at scale, the time limitations on using EDC NHS actually becomes a pretty significant barrier in the uptake of the technology. Now, because AnteoBind, you can pre-activate the particles and allow them to sit as long as required until you need to conjugate. It actually would allow for automation of the process.
Okay.
And so that's where AnteoBind has pretty significant benefits over EDC NHS, in that you can have an automated system, you can have your pre-activated particles sitting there and just run it through an automated system.
And do you think that also contributes to the reproducibility? Because one of the things that I came across in my visit was people end up using EDC because there's no alternative, but they're not happy with the reproducibility. In some cases, I've been told the scrap rate is up to around 30%, which is not good. So in your experience in our hands, how do you compare the reproducibility with AnteoBind and EDC? Because in the past year or so, we've done a lot of comparisons with EDC. How do you think that's pairing out?
Yeah, I definitely would think that the stability of the activated surface plays a huge role in maintaining your reproducibility. So we talked about earlier that you could make a large batch of particles and then use that from day 1 to day 365. So with EDC, you need to use it within 15 minutes to half an hour, and that actually limits how much you can actually make at a time. Potentially you would have to make multiple batches just to fulfill a bigger order. With AnteoBind, you can just use one bulk.
So going back to NXT, when we released it last year, we had a bunch of data come out where we showed a lot of advantages over the conventional chemistries. We could also show, the savings on antibody as well. Is there other stuff that we are working on in terms of NXT or other applications? Because this was just related to the lateral flow stuff. Are there any more exciting things that we are coming up with?
Yeah, so we're actually currently working with one customer in a custom project related in the veterinary field. And as you alluded to before, we do have the work with VidCare that is ongoing using the NXT formulation. And while that isn't lateral flow, it is a different assay platform where we have seen the traditional benefits attributed to AnteoBind.
So with these applications, are there other things that AnteoBind can be applied to that people have expressed some interest in?
Yeah, well, from the back of your previous visit to India, we did actually have quite a few different companies come through with completely different applications. So there was quite a bit of interest in the bioprocessing or purification side of things. We've also had a couple of groups looking into doing biosensor work, which is actually a very promising area. And then maybe a bit of a blast from the past, but we've had quite a few inquiries about planar surfaces, particularly ELISA plates.
And do you think we are in a position to support those applications?
Yeah, definitely we can support them. I think the opportunity in India is that it's quite a large market and there are a lot of interesting companies trying to do a lot of interesting work. So I guess it's sort of up to you guys to figure out which ones are the priorities and we can proceed from there.
With that, thank you, Tech. Thank you for your time, and I wish you good luck for your trip. And we'll all be looking forward to the exciting results from VidCare.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.